Machine translation is any instance where a computer translates something from one language to another. It does this by analyzing a source text, transferring a representation of that text into the target language, and creating a text in that target language. Although it's often used for written documentation in business, it's used elsewhere to varying degrees. Facebook, Google, and Microsoft use it to translate text, speech, pictures, and much more. Typically, machine translation technologies use one of three translation approaches: rule-based, which translates a text using rules of grammar and syntax, as well as cultural meanings and dictionary definitions. This approach works well with highly consistent and accurate documentation, but not highly technical or specialized material, such as engineering or doctoral theses. Statistical translation, which translates a text by analyzing huge amounts of data and choosing the most likely translation of a word or phrase, works best with highly specialized material or with content that has a large amount of previously translated material. Neural translation, which translates using complex algorithms and the process of trial and error, looks up the source language's words in a word-embedded table, embeds them as vectors, and decodes them into the target language. This approach works best in cases where the source language and the target language are markedly different and where both have a lot of documentation or are closely related to languages with a lot of documentation. They are not good at translating small bits of text, like website labels, and because their translations sound fluent, it is harder for translators to identify mistakes in them. Machines can significantly decrease the price of a translation. Research indicates that it can also increase the speed of professional translation. However, users and professionals caution that machine translations can and do make mistakes of varying significance, so getting a better end product requires human review. Machine translation technology is not ideal for sensitive or confidential information because it is feasible that the content could be retrieved and reconstructed. These machines translate with varying degrees of human translator involvement, which businesses can use to their advantage, both in-house and with customer interactions. No human involvement creates a low-quality translation. This translation helps users get a general idea of the content's message and would require a disclaimer explaining that it was translated by machines. This is a possible solution for most low-priority markets to fulfill translation requirements. It significantly decreases costs because some of the best machine translation systems, such as Google Translate and Microsoft Translator, are free and available as web or mobile applications. It's also a good option for in-house collaboration, real-time conversations, video, text, or phone, and any other situation requiring real-time interaction. Post-editing involvement is an approach where a machine translates a document and a translator edits the result. This produces a medium-quality translation. It is a good option for most medium-priority markets and some high-priority markets. It can be up to 60% less expensive than hiring a translator without a machine translation. It is also an option for some in-house documentation, like instruction manuals. Predictive neural translation is an approach where a system provides a machine translation, but also lets the translator translate each word while offering translation suggestions. These suggestions adjust while the translator types, increasing the quality of translation suggestions over time. This is a good option for most high-priority markets and for in-house documentation, including policies and benefits packages. Computer-assisted translation is a translation tool, but does not always include machine translation. It compares a translator's current document to a memory of previous translations and uses that to find translation matches. This gives the translator much more freedom with the translation. This approach is ideal for any marketing content, including website content and videos or ads, for high-priority markets, especially when used with a local translator who is an expert in the language and culture. The move towards a global economy has called for a reprioritization of business models. Translation and localization of company content is now something 65% of companies consider necessary to their business plan. However, as of 2017, English made up 55% of online content, while only 28% of online users can read English. Because professional translation is an expensive option, varying degrees of machine translation, if paired with detailed content and localization strategies, can enable businesses to compete in a global market. The reality is, if your users can't read about a product, they won't buy it. Machine translation makes translation services affordable. It is the key to being able to compete in a global market.